This episode of the Keep the Promise podcast is brought to you by, well, us. We didn't just choose this life. We took an oath. An oath to be aggressive when the situation demands it. An oath to stay fit so we can give our best when the stakes are highest. But let's be honest, this job isn't just about fighting fires. It's about resilience, readiness, and being well-rounded in every aspect of our lives. That's where Keep the Promise steps in. As a patron of Keep the Promise, you're not just supporting a podcast. You're joining a community of like-minded, aggressive firefighters who want to be the best at their craft. You'll gain access to daily workouts designed to keep you fit for the fight, weekly mindset meditations to sharpen your mental edge, and early access to podcast episodes packed with the insights that you need to stay on top of your game. And it doesn't stop there. You'll get exclusive content, special guest interviews, and discounts on merch that shows the world that you're serious about upholding the oath. So if you're committed to being the best on the job and off the job, join us. Support Keep the Promise on Patreon and take your place among firefighters who know that our strength is in our unity, our readiness, and our relentless pursuit of excellence. Go ahead and visit joinkeepthepromise.com to join our community. Now, let's get into today's episode and continue our mission to become the most resilient, well-rounded firefighters that we can be. Stay aggressive, stay ready, and as always, keep the promise.
Sometimes a bad decision is better than no decision at all. Again, especially if you are a brand new officer. That is how you're going to learn. You will make mistakes. It happens.
Welcome to the Keep the Promise podcast, where we help build resilient and well-rounded firefighters.
Welcome back to another episode of the Keep the Promise podcast. Today, we're diving into a crucial aspect of our profession, and that is leadership in the gray areas. This episode is all about making the right decisions when the answers are not clear-cut, and how these choices shape us as leaders and firefighters. Leadership in the fire service isn't just about making decisions. It's about making the right decisions, often under pressure and in the face of uncertainty. We all know the easy choices, right? When the light turns red, you stop. But what about those decisions that fall into the gray area? Those are the ones that truly define us as leaders. Gray decisions are complex. They don't fit neatly into the black and white paradigm that we're used to. These are the situations where multiple variables and potential outcomes come into play. For example, deciding whether or not to establish a new technical rescue team in your community. It's not just about the immediate benefits, but also the long-term sustainability and the resources that are needed to make it happen. Consider, for example, the fire chief who's faced with that decision. The community has target hazards that have proven fatal in the past, and the proposal from firefighters is comprehensive and beneficial, but it requires careful consideration of financial resources, training, and community needs. This decision cannot be rushed. It cannot be a shooting from the hip type of thing. It needs to account for both immediate benefits and the ability to sustain the team in the long term. As firefighters, we are no strangers to making decisions under pressure. On the scene of an emergency, quick thinking and decisive actions are paramount, but not all decisions require immediate action. Recognizing when to slow down and thoroughly evaluate a situation is a mark of true leadership. The context in which a decision is made can significantly alter its impact. A decision made in the heat of the moment, like inside a fire, is different from one made in a controlled environment, such as during a planning meeting. Understanding this context helps leaders make more informed and effective decisions. Okay, so how do we deal with this gray area? How do we build the skills for leadership in the gray? We need to develop a set of skills that go beyond technical proficiency. These skills include things like critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and the ability to consider multiple perspectives. Emotional intelligence, for example, is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. For firefighters, high emotional intelligence can lead to better team dynamics, to improved communication, and to more effective leadership during times of crisis. It's about staying calm under pressure and making decisions that consider the emotional and psychological well-being of your team. Critical thinking involves analyzing facts to form a judgment. It involves looking at the environment, looking at what you're faced with, and this one goes out for new officers, making a decision. This skill is essential for making well-rounded decisions that consider all possible outcomes and all possible impacts. It's about looking at the bigger picture and evaluating the variables before making a call. Now, the warning: do not get bogged down in critical thinking and forget to make a decision. Sometimes a bad decision is better than no decision at all. Again, especially if you are a brand spanking new officer, that is how you're going to learn. You will make mistakes. It happens. But hopefully you've built yourself up with a sense of intellectual curiosity and humility to the point that when you do make those mistakes, others will prop you up, they will teach you some lessons, and they will make you a better leader. Okay, so let's look at a quick case study, if you will. Let's talk about one of the most challenging aspects of leadership in the fire service, and that is making those decisions that have far-reaching consequences. Most of us are used to just making our day-to-day decisions, our tactical decisions, and maybe some strategic decisions. But let's talk about some that have an effect that's going to come down the pipe for years. These are the sort of decisions that can define a leader's career and significantly impact the department. So let's look back at the flooding in Western North Carolina and imagine that you are running the scene where a flash flood has caused landslide and it has buried homes and it has left a ton of people unaccounted for. Pick a number. Way too many people unaccounted for. After many days of searching in those shitty conditions, someone's got to make a decision about whether to continue the search or to shift to recovery. And this is that one decision that is so full of emotional and ethical implications that it requires a balance of compassion, of practicality, and experience. Compassion, practicality, and experience. It's not easy, but these are the decisions that will define us as leaders. Making decisions as a leader can range from the mundane to, like we talked about, the monumental. Choosing what to have for dinner at the firehouse can sometimes feel like a monumental decision, and it leads to some disagreements. But when we're really talking about making these life-changing decisions is when, for example, we're deciding how to handle a policy violation, or if you're up there in the Golden Castle, deciding how to deal with budget cuts and things that can have long-lasting impacts on morale, on department culture, and on public trust. When making disciplinary decisions, for example, leaders must consider the precedent that they set. Remember, if you're going to nail one person, be ready to nail everybody else who has made that mistake. A consistent and fair approach is essential for maintaining trust and integrity, within the department. It's about being fair and just and setting an example for others.
Hey friends, I want to take a quick moment to ask you to support the show by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite platform. Your support means the world to us, and it helps spread the message to even more people. We've gotten thousands and thousands of listeners, and those high ratings help our show become more discoverable, allowing us to reach even more listeners and make an even greater impact. So, if you've enjoyed what you heard so far, please take a moment to leave a rating and a review. It only takes a few seconds, and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the show.
So, how do we make these tough decisions? Here are a couple of ideas, a couple of strategies. Number one, gather information. Make sure that you have all the relevant data before making a decision. Again, do not get bogged down in waiting for more data. But also don't bury your head in the sand. Look around, understand the facts, talk to the stakeholders, meaning the people in your crew, the people on scene, the people who are coming. Talk to the people that you're going to be making the decision with and consider the broad context. While you're doing this, evaluate the impact. So consider not just the short term, but also the long-term impact of what decision you're going to make. How's it going to affect your crew, your department, and your community? You should also seek input depending on the situation. Try not to make decisions in isolation, but consult with your colleagues, with your mentors, and with other firefighters to gain different perspectives. Don't forget to use your past experiences to inform your decision-making process. Learn from previous successes, and most importantly, from previous mistakes. And the one key strategy is to stay flexible. Be prepared to adapt your decision as new information emerges, and do not be so emotionally attached to it that you cannot really much change your mind. Flexibility is key in navigating gray areas, and you must be able to divorce yourself from the decision you made and make a new one, a snap decision for the betterment of the team. So leadership in the fire service is about more than just making decisions. It's about making decisions that reflect your values, that reflect your experiences, and that show your commitment to your team and your community. When you develop the skills to navigate gray areas, you can become a more resilient and a more well-rounded and effective leader. Hopefully you enjoy this. These are some of my percolating thoughts that I finally put down on paper and now in audio form. And as always, if you want to connect with like-minded firefighters who are dedicated to becoming resilient and well-rounded, who believe in physical and mental well-being, make sure to join the Keep the Promise community. Because when we're there and we're together, we can share experiences that allow us to learn from each other and to continue to uphold those values and the oath of service that we make to our communities. With that being said, again, thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, stay resilient, and I will catch you next time.